He was getting mouth fucked by the internet this hard in 2016. Holy Mark, no wonder I never heard of you until now. It probably was too scary for you to come out. Medicare probably knows who you are and you're afraid of him. Oh, Jesus Christ. Dude. So, Gamergate 2 is upon us, and they are choosing their new champions. I actually got to see something pretty funny the other day. I think I was watching another President Sunday stream, I believe it was, and he was watching. Medicare's not dead. Mr. Medicare's not dead. That's fucking crazy, Jim. But Sargon, who is usually too good for everybody on the internet, even lefties, had to come to Mr. Medicare and the fucking Medicare cast, I guess, hat in hand, to beg them basically to be a part of Gamergate 2 and try to even maybe like sneak past them to their audience in order to get support for what can only be described as an absolute potential failure of a movement. Like it's never going to happen. And that's fucking funny to me. That's funny as shit. And Mr. Medicare just told him no. I was watching this on, like I said, on President Sunday's fucking live stream. Crushingly funny. Hilarious, in fact. But yeah, in a general sense, to just summate, prediction result is scaly. God, dude, the Twitch is crazy, bro. My stream crashed when he said Gamergate 2 was upon us. But the thing is the Gamergate 2, because Gamergate 1 was such a fucking kerfuffle, and it was an absolute failure almost across the board for the right wing. Ultimately, just in general, people don't care about it anymore. It didn't really achieve any results other than leading to the worst possible type of people being kind of gaining a lot of access to movements that they should not have been a part of at all, and a lot of the best people sort of permanently putting a hand up and distance between them and people that thought would be on their side for stuff. You know, Joji permanently gone from a lot of the circles that he was in at that time. Not saying he was part of Gamergate, but he was in that sphere of like edgy comedy and shit that Gamergate was part of a giant, a larger kind of bubble. You know what I mean? In the 2014 to 2016 era, Joji, pink guy, completely fucking distanced himself. iDubbbz, full flip out of the way. Chris Raygun, I'm good on you permanently. And so what you're only left with nowadays, the only heroes you have are people like Sargon, who's like turning yellow because he drinks so much. Milo Yiannopoulos, who's still around, although he's mostly just exists as like a sort of like parasitic fish that feasts on Kanye West's like ball sack all day. And like, I don't know, you got Ben Shapiro, but I don't think Ben Shapiro even gives a fuck about Gamergate. You know what I mean? That it's inconsequential. To a lesser extent, you have people like Asmongold and stuff, but none of them. I'm back asking when we get pleated skirt stream. Not from me, my friend. What was I saying? Thank you for the 2. Thank you for the 2 fucking pounds, though. Stem locked. But yeah, they just don't have a lot of fucking heroes. You have people like Asmongold and stuff, but Asmongold's never going to start giving political prescriptions or talk extensively about any prescriptive action that can be taken. He's good as a conspiracy theorist, but Asmongold's on borrowed time as far as any sort of political action goes. So the same goes for other people that are sort of in that sphere, like XQC to a lesser degree, and then people like, I mean, you get Boogie. Boogie's the only person that I've seen that's a large creator that came out in favor of Gamergate 2, and he's a literal lolcow, a half-slaughtered lolcow at that. He doesn't even have all of his legs or milk anymore. He's just mostly bones and depression, although that's literally not true by looking at him. And so you're just starting to see new figures kind of being elevated, if they have any sort of potentiality at all to be actually charismatic, actually interesting, or have any sort of real connection to the games industry outside of being a consumer. And to that extent, I've seen a few people come up. Brianna Wu has been fucking her name. She's throwing her own name into the hat 700 times to be picked and not. But this one person, Grummz, I have seen a few times. I don't know who they are. Their avatar looks like a little anime chibi kind of dude. And apparently they talked to Eric July of Sad Puppies and Ism. It's Mr. Jism himself. Fame. Multimillionaire. Congratulations. We're going to listen to this conversation a little bit. So here we go.
My choice! My choice! Holy hell!
How do you feel? I ask this question to really everybody that I know we often talk about doom and gloom, but how do you feel?
This dude rigged this ugly shit as a full VTuber. I can't believe you VTubed your bad hairline in.
So now that eyes are starting to be brought on, you have even normies, right? People that otherwise would have stayed out of this are now being far more vocal about the reality of what.
Okay, this looks like a very suspicious child's toy. I thought that this would just be a picture, in which case it's fine. But now it's moving, and I am so unsettled by it. It is crazy.
What's taking place?
Also, shout out my dude Eric July over here, just fully embracing his persona as being like Wish brand MC Ride. I love that.
How do you feel about the future of gaming? Is it going to be in the hands of maybe the independents if this is going to be a course correction? Are you optimistic, let's say, about that? What is your overall feel?
You know, I think this is still in play, right? And we are fighting the war for not just games, but the future of society and humanity.
I'm just gonna be mean. I'm going to be mean for a second, and I don't even know what the kind of meanness, what the brand of it is that I'm bringing to the forefront here right now. But I'm just going to say that the way that this man talks, the way that the tonality of his voice and the cadence of his words strikes me as a guy who has an extremely strong set of opinions on Hostess snack cakes. I'm not saying he's fat. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he's even out of shape. This guy maybe can bench like fucking 380, right? And he just throws the fucking weight around. Maybe that's possible. Could be. And I'm not going to take that away from him. But there's just something about the shape of his mouth and the way that he forms words that makes me think he has real strong Hostess cake opinions. Like he's like, like you could give him a Twinkie and he could tell you like to the date when it is going to or has already expired. I'm just saying that. Oh, hold on. I'll be back. Sorry. I've got to go pay a guy. I didn't even turn my mic on. Hi, everyone. I'm sorry. I had to go pay the guy, and then I made myself a quick sandwich and ate a sandwich. Engaging in self-care. How dare you?
Are we going to be divided or are we going to be united? And this is, so we're winning some battles and we're losing some battles. We're winning the normies. The normies are finally waking up. We're all shedding light on this. And they're going, what's going on here? I have so many messages from people that said, I had no idea this stuff was happening in gaming. I'm so glad you pointed it out. Wow, this has really, really changed my mind. And I'm not going to buy this game, or I am going to buy that game. And that to me is important. Waking up the community at large so that they can make...
Waking them up?
Waking them up? Spiro, get the god, he's woke.
I tried to do Nixon, and it came out Professor Sunday.
Jesus Christ, Spiro, get the goddamn gun, he's woke. We have to destroy him.
Can I just say real quick before I continue that President Sunday's fucking pause music screen, where it's just fucking in the mouth of madness and like random music, is actually fucking kind of slaps, and I like it. Oh. Funny.
Formed decisions about their purchases. You can support it. Go ahead, buy the game. You like DEI, go buy it. Go support it. You don't like it, you should know. You should know they don't like you. You should know that they would like to erase you. And and you can make the call from there. Now, the other thing that gives me hope is that funding DEI and ESG funding has shifted. Okay. Has shifted away from entertainment and into real estate and other sectors, and more of a focus on sustainability. So things like ecological factors, right? That gives me hope, because if the money dries up, you're not going to get as much pressure from the top to implement programs just to check boxes so they can get funding.
Yeah.
So that gives me hope too. The other thing that's happening is, that these games are tanking. These DEI infused games where they focus on
You got to prove that to me. I still have not seen proof of that statement. I see people keep saying it again and 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 again, but like, even the thing from the one, just the Sweet Baby Incorporated, like, they had like what? A few games I had never heard of that were from indie developers, which, you know, they're going to fucking fail or succeed by the fact that nobody's ever heard of them. And then they had God of War. You know what I'm saying? God of War Ragnarok was on there, and the Spider-Man game was on there, and those are both like multi-million unit movers. Like, what are you talking about? Even if it's not specific DEI, like American DEI, the descriptions of the work environment at Larian Studios and how they dealt with stuff and how they organized suggest very strongly that they were concerned with diversity, education and inclusion, or whatever, diversity, equity, and inclusion. That entire roster, you can do fucking mixed gendered, mixed bodied people. So like, you can go hard. You can literally pick the wrong genitals for your characters according to these kind of people. So like, what, are we just not going to talk about? Larian Studios has the first game, I think, in the history of games, or at least in a long time, to have won the Game of the Year award from literally every fucking game award that's set up, and those are usually pretty fixed. So that's crazy. What games are doing great that don't have DEI in them? Can you prove that to me? Like, where do you get these statistics and these ideas? Is it just because it always boils down to what we've done is we've managed to penalize, or have done our best to penalize, any company or corporation that has a single person, a single employee who like is outspoken on Twitter about like, maybe we shouldn't fucking murder trans people, or like, or the horrible, you know, I think white men should shut up and listen more. Like, oh fuck, okay, honey, no, how about that? And I'm on your side. And it's as hard as it. No, like, it's just the most milquetoast, weak, soft-bodied fucking like ideas of stuff ever. By the way, I'm bigger now, Eric. If you ever see this, Mr. July, if you pop by, you want to talk to me about this shit, I'm down. I won't pee my pants the entire time we're debating. Don't worry, I'll be nice to you. If you ever want to talk about this shit. But like, goddamn, Alan Wake too. Alan Wake is not much of a recognizable brand as Gears of War, God of War, and Spider-Man. It still sold millions and made its budget back easy. Yeah, this is too incel to ever take off. Well, you can never say that, because you like, basically you can push through some wildly dumb fucking ideas if you get people to not pay attention to what your idea actually is, which is why they never articulate. They don't have a stance other than thing bad, which you shouldn't do, because thing bad as a stance is literally just being a reactionary. You can say thing bad, you can even make it a major part of your platform, but you also have to have, in addition to that, other thing good. This is why there's a massive failure when people try to talk about race on the left, is because a lot of people do try to phrase it as the problem with racism is that white people do racism, like white people bad, right? Which is not really the actual problem with racism. The problem with racism is that it provides an outlet for people to be de-equitized, to be disenfranchised from the entirety of the world. God damn you. Not a fan of SBI that admittedly tried to force their views in games. My issue isn't the diversity, but it feels more like the writing and dev team isn't being allowed to make the game they want. The thing is these are contractors, so like they don't have a final say. I'll get back to the point I was trying to make here in a second, but they don't have just thank you for the $10. But they don't have a say. They're not the game company, and they're not like a government mandated censorship bureau like the ESRB, which they're being treated like. The Sweet Baby Inc. is just one of many, by the way. There's a lot of other companies that do this thing. And I haven't seen any evidence that that's happened. Like, you can say like you're concerned about it, but it's still like a religious lady being concerned about fucking they're going to have dancing here this weekend over at the VFW hall, and I think it's going to destroy the children. The youth are dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't equate. I would need to see someone where Sweet Baby Inc. came in and like had a writer fired because the guy was just like, I like Shane McGillis. You know what I mean? I would need, and it would have to be extensive and repeated for it to be actual evidence of, this is causative. This is a causative thing that happens again and again and again. So I'll tell you who doesn't let fucking writers and designers and editor, everybody make the games that they want is just the fucking people, the capitalists that own them. They're way more in charge. Nobody at fucking EA Sports is making the game they want to make. Maybe like one or two people. Maybe some of them are happy that they're on it, but it's not like I highly doubt that the vast majority of people that are working on Madden this year, and correct me if I'm wrong, are just like, no, the game I really, really want to make is Madden current year. Like, I'm just dying to work on Madden current year. And then, like, if I could really, like, I just really want to create. Basically, not like I want to be on that team, but like, literally, this is my creative end goal, is Madden. You know what I mean? A consumer product. I don't think that's the case for a lot of people in just a general sense. And I don't think fucking Sweet Baby Inc. changes the natural ecosystem of that whatsoever. Because first off, it just doesn't have that much pull. You've only showed me so many games that they've worked on, and it's not that many. And the vast majority of them are either non-entity games that would have failed or succeeded on their own merits, regardless of, and because just no one knew who the fuck they were anyway. So like that's a much bigger thing to overcome. Oh. Nobody knows what SBI did or didn't contribute. The reactionaries just assume that bad equal SBI and the crazy successful games equal not SBI. Yeah, which is why you need to get ahead of this narrative. And you have to push people on it and not just go like, it goes back to what I was saying. Like, you can't just focus on the negative. Even yourself as a don't be a reactionary about it. Don't just say like anti-Sweet Baby Inc. content is bad. Just say like, dude, your argument isn't good. What we need is what you want to do positive is to protect from the bad outcomes. Well, what's really causing the bad outcomes? Because that turns into a whole different conversation that a lot of these people aren't willing to have. If the bad outcome is people don't get to make the games that they want to make, then Sweet Baby Inc. has next to nothing to making that outcome to making the good outcome happen, right? Because if people want to make the games that they want to make, what we need to remove is people's lack of access to the training, the tools, the systems, and the seed capital, unironically, through work in other industries that, that they're saving up so that they can pay for teams and assets and stuff, have access to all that seed capital so that they can make the games that they want to make. We need to have that shit be accessible to people. Like, that's what we need. But that's not what the SBI conversation about. The SBI conversation is about like, this one specific thing is a boogeyman, and still just, even if you talk about it for more than 2 seconds, it's almost not there. And you have to show them at like a game development conference or something where one person said a thing, and it's like, still like, okay, but it's this fucking one company. So are the other companies doing it? What the fuck is going on? And it turns into this thing where if you pull yourself a little bit further back, you realize this is just a harassment campaign for anybody that says pro-trans rights things or anti-misogyny things, which is really the whole thing. It's just literally it's mostly 99% of it is a pro-misogyny movement. They have to be hired by the company. So the company's not even taking the creative control away from them. Or the SBI isn't. Like, the company that hires SBI would be doing that because they're bringing in a consultant. You know what I'm saying? It's like saying like the two guys that preside over the firings in Office Space. Once upon a time, remember Office Space? Hey kids, hey 90s kids, 80s kids, remember Office Space? The two guys that are firing people, the consultants that are brought in, right? It's not their fault that everybody's being fired. The company hired them to come in and fire people. So like it's still just you just added another step and pretended the second step is what leads you to the top when we're talking about the entirety of the staircase is the issue. And they don't want to get into like, okay, well, we just need to make games more accessible and make more people make games because they don't want more people to make games. Like Grummz doesn't, Eric July doesn't. They don't want gay people making gay games. They don't want anybody who's not the kind of person they like to make it. They don't want ugly girls making ugly girl games, you know what I'm saying? Or any kind of other people making any kind of games that they don't want to see. Their issue is not the quality of the game. Their issue is not the talent behind it. Their issue is not creative control. Their issue is simply seeing games exist that don't conform to their pre-existing narrative of what a game should be, which has only is something that they dreamed up for themselves like in the last fucking year and are trying to push like a fucking oversized turd out of Elvis's fucking ass, and it's going to give their entire fucking movement a heart attack, and I'm going to watch them die on the toilet, which is fucking great for me because I'm going to enjoy it. But like unironically, that is it. That is the entirety of it. In summation, that last gross part was thrown in for you dipshits at home who don't understand the fucking deeper context of this. Just never forget. This is Elvis dying, taking a shit level fucking discourse from Grummz and Eric July. It's just trash. It's trash. I'll fucking debate you on it. We can talk through it. And the evidence that does get presented is the most nothing burger shit. I don't give a fuck. Like, I just don't even give a shit.
Ham-handed tokenism rather than really deep characters and storytelling. Gamers are...
Ham-handed tokenism is such a stupid fucking thing to say when you're talking about, when you're fucking on the anti-DEI squad. Because the DEI thing is, first off, about anti-tokenism. That's the whole point of it, which is kind of cool, that you're talking about the doctor and turning them into the fucking, into the cause of the issue kind of deal. The whole point of the DEI people is for you to ask them, like, is this a tokenized character? Blah, 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 blah. Because you guys don't know fucking shit. I guarantee you guys don't know fucking shit about whatever fucking race that you're a part of. You probably don't know next to fucking anything about any of the other races. Why? Because you're stupid people. Because you're the fucking you're the anti-DEI people. So I already know you don't know how to fucking read. So there's almost no fucking possibility that if you talk about any race that's fucking too separated from your own as far as familiarity, that you're going to have any fucking accurate shit to say about it. I don't know that much. Shout out yet again, whoever's in my fucking chat that's fucking native Inuk. I don't know almost anything about the Inuk people or the Inuit or fucking anyone up there. I don't know anything about the whole of fucking Slavers Bay or whatever it's called up there. I don't know anything about Northeastern Canadian First Peoples next to, except for what I've learned from Dan Simmons books. Should have read a Dan Simmons book. But like, I know how to learn about it. And if I was making a game and like I had like a fucking Inuk person in there, because like, whatever, just set up the situation. This person happens to be a guy that fucking works in my town. He drives down and he fixes motors. He's a Inuk guy that works on motors. He comes in and I just have to describe what he's dressed as, right? And I want him to be visibly represented as an Inuk person, but not like embarrassingly so. Like, I'm gonna be like, okay, so I got this Inuk guy that's coming down and he's a car mechanic, but he's got like fucking seal skin on everything and he's carrying a spear at all times, and like the fucking people will say, well, here's our issues with this, and then they'll lay them out, which I can't articulate all the issues because I don't know enough about those people. They can just go out as a contractor and do research, and if you're not even used to looking for that, like I was like, oh, there's somebody, they're just like, hey, what is this? And I'm like, oh, that's just the fun statue that sits out in front of this one guy's house. He likes short little tiny statues. And you're like, yeah, well, did you know that this statue happens to have like a black face and red lips? Like, oh yeah, well, we just used a character model. My friend took a picture of a thing that's in his neighbor's front yard, and they're like, okay, well, look, we might not know this, but that's called a pickaninny statue, and you're not allowed to have those. Well, he's just like a little black guy wearing a jockey costume with a lantern. Just like, trust me on this. As a consultant, this is what I'm hired for. You do not want to have this in your game, especially in front of the good guy's house. It's gonna raise a lot of questions about the game development that you probably don't want to answer, and it'll be distracting. Like, that is the purpose of these consultants. You can get these kind of consultants for all sorts of shit in all sorts of industries. Restaurants that make food every day will hire consultants if they have somebody that's coming in. They have like a group of people that are coming in, and those people have like serious food allergies, right? If it's like a nice restaurant that does like catering, they'll bring in consultants and be like, hey man, we need somebody that specializes in preparing food for like an audience of people that have like severe nut allergies. Like, it's like whatever, this, that, and that. They're like, okay, well, this is the things that you're going to have to do to prep your facility for food preparation and transport in order to not have anybody be harmed by like nut allergies, right? Sort of making up this example, but like, this is what happens. Consultants exist throughout the entirety of the professional world, the entirety of the professional corporate world, to do specifically this shit. Sometimes the training is junk training, sometimes it's corny, sometimes it's trash, but it's like that with fucking all of it, right? On the Christian side, for Christians, if you're a fucking old psycho, like deep cult Christian out there, you've probably had consultants come to your church when you were a kid, or maybe even if you're still faithful now, you've probably had it. You didn't even realize it, but they're like what do you call it? Like youth specialists, like youth connection specialists. That's a type of consultant that teaches old ass church people how to talk to young kids and get them interested in the healing power of the Jesus Christ. That's a consultant. And it will be like, well, yeah, they're going to tell you decisions that you should make in order to not make mistakes or in order to get successful outcomes. But you're literally just describing consultancy and just saying like, oh, if you have a consultant come in and they tell you to do something different, they're snatching creative control away from you. You're like, yeah, okay, maybe you have one that comes into your church on Saturday and they're like, hey, so we've noticed some things that you've had decreased attendance, all right? And we just wanted to give you a look around, a workaround. We watched a few of your sermons, and we have noticed that you are spraying a lot of fake blood from a Jesus Christ crucifix into the front seats of the crowd. And you gave people the splash guards and stuff, but we have found that a lot of people find it extremely disturbing, and a lot of children are crying. Now, we're not telling you have to change it. We're not telling you have to change it. We're not going to tell you how to do anything at all. But we did do a real quick survey, and we found that most of the people in the parish, now about 68%, say they absolutely hate this. It is the worst thing ever, and they don't ever want to see it again. All of the rest of them, except for a noticeable percentage of people with your last name, specifically your family, your kids, and your in-laws, they liked it. Everyone else also was just like ambivalent to grossed out. So we're just saying there could be other issues, but we have noticed that this is an extreme sticking point for your parish. Do you think that maybe you should change? That is what consultancy is. I'm just breaking it down. That's what these conversations are going to sound like. I'm not even defending Sweet Baby Inc. Maybe they fucking suck at this. Maybe they're bad at it. I don't know. I haven't seen them work, but neither has anybody else. But you just have to understand, this is what consultancy is. It's a fucking job. You know what I mean? That just exists to help people mitigate issues down the line by providing advice on different aspects of things that the consultant is an expert in, right? You can accidentally hire consultants that aren't experts. You can hire bad consultants. You can hire particularly good consultants. It's all over the place. A guy I went to college with, he's already permanently a consultant at 35 because he was just so good at engineering and working with federal contract administration that people consult him about how to work inside the federal contracting system for large scale building and how to do bids correctly. That's what he does. He goes in and people ask him about like, what should I do? I want to bid on this project. I haven't gotten a lot of my bids accepted. Is it my cost, my this, my that? And he's like, okay, well, this is blah, 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 blah. You've been filling out this form incorrectly. You're supposed to submit things in this order. And you're going to want to start trying to like talk to like these people up the ladder because they're the ones that are going to have to fucking sign off on whether or not you're an idiot. And they already know like 5 of these people. That's what it is. And that's just the response. So that's just consultancy at all. And if they're doing this for DEI, that's probably for the best because fucking almost 90% of the reaction to video games are people's general vibes. So having a general vibes consultant to come in and make sure that the fucking game isn't making people like confused about the weird amount of racism because there's pickaninny statues for some reason throughout the entirety of your village that you've made that's supposed to be in fucking like 12th century Europe. Like, why do we have all these pickaninny statues? What the fuck is going on here? And they're like, we don't know. Like, you can just avoid that by having a consultant. That's good. And a good consultant in the back, it is what it is. But like that's the point of this shit. But they never get into it. They just create this entire false fucking narrative that Sweet Baby Inc. somehow is like sneaking in through the windows while somebody's like, oh, it's a hot day coding here today in the fucking scrum area. And they open a window that's on the side, and then fucking Sweet Baby Inc. just creeps in like a bunch of spider-limbed monsters and starts going, racist, sexist, wrong. And then they fucking gobble up one of the lead writers and drag him out by his throat and fucking rip him to pieces in the fucking parking lot before like turning his intestines and various other pieces of him into a crude pastiche of a pride flag, then fluttering off into the sky like so many demons on the wing. That's just not happening. And also, nobody has the balls on the right to describe DEI in such cool terms.
Rejecting it, and that is a very good thing, because if you send a
Someone needs to consult Ubisoft about trying to fix their rampant SA and sexual assault and sexual harassment issues. You mean in real life? I mean, unironically, a good thing to do consultancy for. This is another thing that I found out. Intimacy consultants and intimacy experts on movies are an extremely important thing, and you would have never expected it. There are actually people that you can bring in, and sometimes when it's good to have a consultant is a third party that's not connected to the production to facilitate stuff. The movie or the show, another one that's the original 50 Shades of Grey. The original 50 Shades of Grey movie is lauded as being pretty fucking great by people that like that stuff. I know it might not be up your alley, but all of the people that worked on it said it was pretty fucking great, and then it got worse to work on the days and in the ones to follow, because on the first one they hired an intimacy coordinator who was not the director, who was not one of the writers, who was not one of the costume people, who all of the people who would have to be naked on screen in chains, being sexually, being fucked on screen basically, although it's play pretend, to make it so that when they're getting ready, when they're like comfortable, when they can and can't shoot stuff, that they don't feel weird or strange, or that like the angles are wrong, or that there's the wrong sort of people. Because it just might be like, I don't want that producer on the set anymore when I'm naked, because he literally stares at me the entire time. But you can't tell the producer that, you can't tell the director that, but you can tell the intimacy coordinator. If you have a good one who probably won't say like, hey, fucking you get out of here because you're sexually harassing the woman. If they're fucking smart, they play it very thin, like, hey, what she needs right now, because she's feeling very, very vulnerable and stuff, is just a slightly closed set with just these specific people. Could we arrange that? She doesn't think that she can perform the correct way. Blah, 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 blah. And like I've seen, and couch that not as just the individual desires of this one actress, but in a greater package of needs for the male actress, for the male actor that's in the scene. I'm specifically talking about like 50 Shades of Grey and stuff, and also maybe even for the people that are running film and people that have to be there for different things, continuity writers and people that have to sit in and set. They might not be comfortable watching it, even though it's something you've always considered jacking off to, is people simulating sex on a movie set, and it's your fucking porno fetish. That actually is something that might be really uncomfortable for certain people, and it can help them get off the set in a way that makes them feel better. And apparently that was on the first set of the 50 Shades of Grey movie. They had a consultant that did that sort of stuff, and it made everybody happier. And then when they got rid of that consultancy in the follow-up movies, I think it was Dakota Johnson said that she was like basically having to drink herself half fucking stupid in order to try to get through the scenes that she had to do, because it was so awkward and so overly grotesque and stuff, and blah, 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 blah. Very interesting. They should give Dakota Johnson reparations for having to appear in that movie. Well, now she's in. Dakota Johnson just took the role from, what's her name? Chloe Sevigny. There was Chloe Sevigny, and Chloe Sevigny got too old, and now we have Dakota Johnson. If you even know what I'm talking about, just shout out. It's a Vincent Gallo reference. It's a Brown Bunny reference. If you know what I'm talking about, I just flexed. I did film flexing like crazy. Tyler, you need to work with me, Canyon. I absolutely do. We gotta get bigger.
Company that is the most effective voice you can have. Unfortunately, now this has been happening in movies. People are starting to reject movies. These movies are losing millions, hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions. Yeah.
And it's been, you can tell me, is it being rejected in comics?
Largely, yeah. I mean, comics have been on a sort of a downturn, if you will, at least in the mainstream. So I'd argue, yeah,
Well, that's, we've talked about that a million times. I got to cut off because the premises of the very argument. This is why you got to cut them off like now, because the premises of the argument are trash, like on their face. You don't have any connection to say that DEI is the reason why Marvel movies are failing. We all know why Marvel movies are failing. It's because we watched them for 20 fucking years. So I'm trying to do the math. 15, 16 years of fucking movies that are all in the same universe, all have the same people, and there was 2 to 3 of them coming out every year, sometimes up to 4 or 5, I think, at a time, and people just got exhausted with them. No one wants to see any more fucking origin story superhero movies. For a while, at least, people love movies. People love them. Dune was great. Dune has plenty of fucking DEI. Dune is like a largely non-white cast. You know what I'm saying? Or at least non-Western white. Like, there's just a ton of fucking different people in Dune. There's a bunch of fucking, like, strong female characters, interesting, like, non-Eurocentric perspectives, so to say. There's tons of shit going on in that fucking film. There's tons of other movies coming out, too. People are just sick of fucking Marvel films. They weren't even interested in them before fucking, like, the Iron Man really started kicking shit off. People didn't give a fuck about him. People barely liked the Fantastic Four movie that came out before that. And they were, like, Blade was good, and then the follow-up Blade movies were just, like, fucking trash. But, like, they were enjoyable for, like, to a cult audience. They're just not that interesting of films. Like, superheroes are fucking boring. Can I just say that? Superheroes are boring, and anime's better. Anime slaps. Slaps. It's so fucking good. Anime's fucking great. Manga is fucking awesome. It's just good shit. And it's interesting. And it has, like, bizarre, weird, off the fucking wall stories that people want to see. And no one wants to see fucking, like, Peter Parker for the 5,000th time watch his fucking uncle die. The joke, the reason they'll still watch Across the Spider-Verse, the best thing about Across the Spider-Verse is it's not Peter Parker. And Across the Spider-Verse has tons of DEI. The fucking main bad guy in the new one, technically speaking, is a Latino dude. The fucking main character is Afro-Latino, fucking black Puerto Rican mix kid from fucking New York City. One of the best characters is a pregnant black lady. You know what I'm saying? There's 2 fucking white people in the cast that are like white, and it's fucking the original Peter Parker, who's just a stay-at-home dad basically now, and Gwen Stacy Spider-Girl, who is just like a mid Spider-Girl. She's like all right, and everyone gets irritated by her, and she fucks shit up. What are we talking about? We're talking about specifically like live action Marvel movies that are about who gives a fuck, the Immortals? All right. I liked the Doctor Strange movie that no one else seemed to like. Fuck me. And I'm just not interested in any of the other ones. And I can't even watch the fucking live action Spider-Man because they're not fucking available anywhere, and I'm not paying for them. I just want to watch them on streaming or something. It's just not that interesting to me. Lord Christ Almighty.
It's starting to be rejected there as well.
What about Spawn? I always forget that Spawn's a fucking comic book movie. Spawn almost doesn't count because it's not really like too capey, even though it is absolutely a cape superhero movie where his cape has a superpower. But yeah, Spawn slapped. Spawn went pretty fucking hard, but it wasn't part of the like. It was like an outlier. You know what I mean? All of those films, even though they were technically based on comic books, they got by on the strength of their narrative and by like how interesting the characters were, which I mean still. As opposed to like the sort of hyper formulaic hero's journey shit again and again and again and again and again and again and again. Blade never even did it. Blade was just like, hey, what if there was fucking vampire nightclubs in Brooklyn that spit blood out? And you're like, well, that's fucking awesome. And they're like, yeah, it is. And this movie is not going to get turned down once in the next fucking hour and a half. This shit is fire. It slaps. It is the best thing ever. Like, all right, cool. Let's get it. Let's do it. What about Constantine? Well, I say a Constantine, and that movie's pronounced Constantine, so that's how I feel about it. It's not the worst thing ever, but the HBO Spawn series is awesome. That was good, but talk about loss. I mean, if we're talking about popular, not popular. I'm not talking about like quality. I'm talking about like reception and popularity and like overall impact. That motherfucker got canceled. Let's be honest. I mean, you might as well just bring up fucking HBO Max, HBO's The Max, which was on there too. Also very cool, also very stylistic and neat and weird, but like not very well known because that's old school HBO, which was like basically like, hey, you want to pay extra to see some titties instead of like the premiere television that you can watch. I liked Doom Patrol. I mean, a lot of movies stuff is good. It's not all terrible. But the thing is just like, it's not hyper popular. And the big movies are just like, they're just burned out on them. And usually if it is good, it's something that kind of falls away from the wayside. I like Peacemaker. I think Peacemaker is the best DC property, live action DC property to come out since like Christopher Nolan's second Batman movie. Like, unironically, it's fucking awesome.
Manga is more successful
Yes.
because they focus on the stories
Yes,
and
correct.
the politics of the side. And so you see this with comics, with movies, and it will happen with games, but it's going to take longer, and I'll tell you why. 7 years to develop a new IP for AAA game. 3 years to 4 years for an existing IP. You're going to start to see this impact, but it's going to take a little longer in games because movies are a lot faster to make. Comics are a lot faster to make, but it will happen. And so I'm calling on all gamers for a moratorium. Just
Hold on, I gotta listen to this again.
up a new IP for AAA game. 3 years to 4 years for an existing IP. You're going to start to see this impact, but it's going to take a little longer in games because movies are a lot faster to make. Comics are a lot faster to make, but it will happen. And so,
Hold on, let's just see. The production. Well, that's the filming began. The filming was over a year. So, like, if you really think about it, so this is the development. I'm just reading really quick. The production of a film is often just basically, it depends on how they want to articulate it, but production, a lot of the times the only thing that's set in stone that production is when they start filming to when the film is released, which usually takes about a year or two, right? But production of a film can be such a phenomenally long time. I don't know why he's making this point, because pre-production is what you really call it. Pre-production of a film is the heart and soul of where it starts to come from, can take forever. So the development of Iron Man, which came out in 2008, began in April of 1990, when Universal Studios bought the rights to develop Iron Man for the big screen, with Stuart Gordon to direct a low-budget film based on the property. By February 1996, Fox had acquired the rights from Universal. In 1997, Nicolas Cage expressed interest in portraying the character. September 1998, Tom Cruise expressed interest in producing as well as starring in an Iron Man film. Jeff Vinter and Iron Man co-creator Stan Lee co-wrote a story for Fox, which Vinter adapted into a screenplay for the first Iron Man movie. It included a new science fiction origin for the character, featured MODOK as the villain. Credited the screenplay with finally making him understand the character. In 1999, so they didn't even make that. In 1999, Jeffrey Kane was hired to rewrite Vinter and Lee's script. That October, Quentin Tarantino was approached to write and direct the film. Fox sold the rights to New Line Cinema the following December, reasoning that although Vinter Lee's script was strong, the studio had too many Marvel superheroes in development and we can't make them all. By 2000, the film was being written for New Line by Ted Elliott, Terry Rossio, and Tim McCanley's. McCanley's script used the idea of a Nick Fury cameo to set up his own film. In 2001, New Line entered talks with Joss Whedon, a fan of the character, to direct, and in December 2002, McCanley's had turned into a completed script. New Line took a unique approach to writing the film's script, hiring David Hayter, David Hayter from Metal Gear, David S. Goyer, and Mark Protesevich to sit in a room and simply talk on camera about Iron Man for a few days. After this, Hayter was hired in 2004 to write a script. He reworked scripts that had been written by Jeff Vinter and Alfred Goff and Miles Miller, which had included the villain the Mandarin and Pepper Potts as a love interest. Hayter removed the Mandarin and instead chose to pit Iron Man against his father, Howard Stark, who becomes War Machine. Hayter said, "You want to try to mirror your hero with your villain as much as possible," for his reasoning behind making Howard the villain. He also made Bethany Cabe the film's love interest over Potts. In December 2004, the studio director attached Nick Cassavetes to the project for 2006 release. However, this deal ultimately fell through and Iron Man's film rights returned to Marvel. In November 2005, Marvel Studios worked to start development from scratch. It introduced Iron Man as their first independent feature because the character was their only major one not already depicted in a live action. According to associate producer Jeremy Latcham, "We went after about 30 writers and they all passed, saying they were uninterested in the project due to both the relative obscurity of the character and the fact that it was a solely Marvel production. When the film did have a script, even the requests for rewrites were met with many refusals. Early scripts for the film also directly referenced Sony Pictures' Spider-Man 2 by identifying Stark as the creator of Otto Octavius's bionic arms in order to build the public's general awareness of Iron Man and elevate him to the same level of property. They released a series of animated short films ahead of the film's release. The shorts were called Iron Man Advertorials and were produced by Tim Miller and Blue Studio. Finally, in 2006, Jon Favreau was hired to direct the film. All right, in April of 2006. They start filming in 2007, and then in 2008, the movie is finally fucking released. That's not even including all of the stuff that happens. The thing also is, this is a major production. Like, things happen faster in Hollywood too, because Hollywood is bigger than game studios. The vast majority of Hollywood productions have massive casts. Massive. You've seen the credits for video games, right? Sometimes they can be pretty fucking extensive, but the vast majority of films include huge pools of talent, especially if you're being released at the AAA level. The development cycle for Iron Man, which everyone loves, was almost fucking 18 years from start to completion. And all of those parts are part of the production because all of that shit informs the next thing that happened. The sales that occur, all of this shit, because that's an established IP. If any of the things that happened along the way hadn't happened, it wouldn't have turned out to the way that it did. So that's just part of getting it from someone said, we should make an Iron Man movie to, holy fuck, there's Iron Man on a fucking big screen. It's crazy complicated. It's psychotic. And at all the points of that, you can't even get into it. I skipped the entire production section that is scrolling down this many times. You have all the parts where they're doing internal rewrites, where they're doing last minute checks, scene checks, this, that, this, and the other. It's crazy, man. It's constant and it's crazy. A lot of shit going on. He's also the main character in Guyver 2. Fucking Hater. Dude, Hater is so based. The cum scoundrel? The fuck did you think? What? The what, YouTube? The what? I can't even read the comment yet because I'm so nonplussed. YouTube is just like, Tyler, you said fart in the first 7 seconds, no ads. Oh, this guy's gonna call himself the cum commander? Let him in, buddy. Thank you.
So I'm calling on all gamers for a moratorium. Just give us 2 years. Give yourselves 2 years. Reject every single politically crappy game out there and just go buy indie. There's great stuff happening in the AA space, in the indie space. Everyone's got a Steam backlog that's probably a couple years long, right? Every time there's a Steam sale, we all go out and buy dozens of games that we never play. Go play those for 2 years. You do that for 2 years, I guarantee you will completely transform the industry. Now, the other thing that's pushing back against that is we have...
Dude, shout out right-wingers not knowing that it's impossible to boycott stuff. I really appreciate spurging out completely and just doing pants-shittingly stupid, like, performative action. Fucking... absolute base J.K. Rowling destroying the transes with her fucking Hogwarts game. Oh, the transes are fucking on fire. The transes will never recover. Blah, 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 blah. All of that bullshit, you know, talking about the failed boycott of it. And my man said, we're not going to just boycott a single game and fail. I'm going to boycott the entire industry no matter what. With my fucking, I have a BDS. They have a BDS sanction list. Boycott or BDS list. Boycott, divest, and sanction. Oh my god.
Journalists, and we have activists.
The way that this is animated, by the way, Grummz, if you watch this, because you have to see it at some point, because there's no way you don't. Like, you have nothing going on, man. Your character looks like you're developmentally disabled. The way that you talk in your, like, slow, plodding, like, cake mouth rhythm, and your dude just sort of wandering back and forth and blinking. This isn't like a knock. You just look developmentally disabled in like in a certain way. Like this almost. If I was to bring this back in time, you know, to a harder era on the internet, an internet era that maybe you think you want to return to, you would be obliterate. You don't ever go. I'll tell you right now. Don't ever go on any fucking Medicare shit. You might get a little fucking, hey man, you want to come by and talk to us about your Gamergate? You want to talk about Gamergate with us? If you ever hear that fucking voice, Jim Mediker, just keep your fucking ear out for it. They are going to rip you fucking inside out because you look like you have additional chromosomes when you're talking with this character that wobbles back and forth, blinking like this, like a fucking baby whose mom smoked every fucking trimester. Like, you look like you're in a fucking bad situation, man. You got to cut it out. It's fucking insane. Yes, the classic untargeted general boycott. Just we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
These companies that are everywhere, and they are terrorizing all the devs on their team into goose stepping in line with them, and they have to go. The layoffs, thankfully, the one silver lining of the layoffs, it's a terrible thing, but it is affecting some of this. So some of the activists who are lower productivity,
Santo, sorry.
Strangely
I keep forgetting I've missed that button
with how woke you are and how productive you are, and I can tell you that internal leads and studio heads are noticing.
Yeah,
right. And so the layoffs are going to start to prioritize that and have been a little bit. And
it's the thing is like, look at this freeze frame. This is not a freeze frame of a character that should be seen in this way. It's because he's doing the little fucking which, by the way, like, I don't know if you know, but it's a little transcoded to always make all of your characters be the lowercase m (eyes), that just so you know, you're stealing valor from a different community. But like, this mouth is not meant to be articulated because that mouth is a facial expression that has it closed. So now you just look like you're talking like this. Yes, well, I just need to understand is we gotta divest from start boycotting everything. Yeah, like, dude, fucking my man, calm down. Don't do this. He looks like somebody you gotta put like you gotta give him a t-shirt for his favorite thing and be like, oh no, it's okay. I know you're mad, but just go ahead. Do you want to make us breakfast today? I'm gonna help you crack the eggs, okay? I'll help you crack the eggs, but you can mix them. You can mix them. I know you're excited. You have to leave the bowl on the table. That's right. Use your strong hand. Bowl on the table. Now you can mix the eggs, okay? Go ahead. Yeah, you're having a great. Don't worry. You can spill a little bit. Not a lot. You can spill a little bit. Like, that's the vibe for this character. Am I crazy? Like, what in the fuck?
That gives me hope. So I think there's great hope. And I think there's great hope in AA gaming. Games like Power World and Helldivers coming out. They're knocking it out of the park.
Yeah.
They're smaller, they're more nimble, they have less funding, so they have to focus. I think.
Sorry, you're a little bit late. I don't know if you heard about it, but Helldivers is woke now, buddy. Helldivers said gays are okay. I don't know if you guys seen that. The fucking one of the Helldiver community managers was just like, actually, Helldivers is pretty woke. And then people have been like, when are you gonna fire this cunt?
That's great. And so, I'm hopeful. It's going to take a little while. We need patience.
Get this man some cat ears and coding socks. True.
Give us 2 years. Vote with your wallet.
Velvian one and only. We need to boycott an entire industry. Fuck it. Yeah, it's not an M. It's the 3 fucking :3 face. Cat face. Oh, man. I did the trash content, but fucking hilarious overall. Goddamn. Sorry I turned it off the entire. You didn't miss much. It's most of it's just Eric July. Just imagine fucking MC Ride talking to like a kid that was raised by his grandma's VTuber avatar made from a sketch his friend made, and his friend doesn't actually like him. Basically it. Adult VTubing is interesting. Ugh. Not even Picru. I swear that Grummz guy just straight nabbed Hideki Kamiya's Twitter profile picture, changed the expression, and slapped some shitty spiky hair on it. I hold on. This you might be onto something. Because I know that I thought that the Grummz guy's thing looked familiar. It's not a 1-for-1 shot. But it does look like, I swear to God, I think I might have been even giving the Grummz guy more credit because his profile picture does look like a little chibi that I swear to God I've seen before on an actual, like, much more serious person. Because I don't know who Grummz is. Forgot to do that part of it. This is the first time I heard him talk, and I'm not remotely impressed. Grummz. Developer. Mark Kern. Is that who he is? Well, he's a... What? No, okay, he's from Taiwan. Alright. But I'm fucking keeping an eye on you. Damn, he does have that same fucking hairline IRL. But he has the profoundly thin lips of a white man. Kern has been involved in online activism against the Stop Online Piracy Act and in support of Gamergate. Jesus Christ. He's a graduate of the University of Rochester and received a law degree from Boston U. Fucking what? He's a boostle boy. Co-founder and CEO of Red 5 Studios during the development and promotion of the game Firefall, a free-to-play, massively multiplayer online open-world shooter. I feel like I remember Control-Alt-Delete talking about this game when I was in high school, so like that's the last time you made anything? He's an associate... Okay, here we go. Associate producer for StarCraft, who gives a shit. Include producer of Diablo 2, team lead for World of Warcraft. Kern departed Blizzard in 2005. Then he did Red 5 Studios, made a game that I've never heard of before, and paid for money for Oculus Rift virtual reality MMO. The project is now dead. Saw crowdfunding for EM Aider, a spiritual successor to Firefall. So he's been a Gamergater since the original Gamergate. Holy fuck. Following the Blitzchung controversy in 2019, Kern quit playing World of Warcraft and called for a boycott of Blizzard. So there was a guy that used to work at Blizzard with me. Kern attracted attention when he posted a critical tweet regarding the start menu of the then upcoming Bethesda Softworks game Starfield. He has criticized what he considers the influence of environmental, social, and governance standards and diversity, equity, and inclusion. Wow, so he just hates good shit. Initiatives on video game developers, following what Kotaku described as a fundamentally misinformed Gatorgate-esque firestorm originating on Kiwi Farms! Oh no! Oh no! Kern became an outspoken critic of the company. In 2024, he rallied against wokeness, telling Fox News there is a coordinated effort to insert diversity politics into game. Better source needed. So that Grummz guy was in the industry. I mean, that's what he says, but like, it was one of those like, kind of. He talks about it like he had some sort of like major impact, but he hasn't worked for Blizzard since fucking World of Warcraft was launched. You know what I mean? Like he was a team lead. He departed at Blizzard in 2005, which is the year I graduated from high school. I sold World of Warcraft when it was launched in 2004. I'm pretty sure. We had it on the shelves, and like I watched the greasy United fucking peoples of old Windows XP installation era come in and buy the fuck out of that game. But like getting canned at launch is crazy, or quitting at launch is crazy, because like that's when you're about to start making a fuckload of money off of it. So I guess they didn't need him anymore. I don't know why a lawyer is like that's the crazy part. Like I don't know. He's just a producer. Like he's just a money guy, or at least he's like a manager. Like he got a law degree to become a manager at fucking Bethesda, which is crazy. Good on him for getting out of there before they started fucking everyone, but like, goddamn. By the way, Tyler, I played Firefall. One time I fired a sniper rifle for a headshot. I got down from where I was standing and ran to the enemy and shot it point blank. Then the headshot registered. Bro, shout out that year. He'd blame it on the netcode. He's like, the internet wasn't good in 2007. Controversies. Oh, Kern faced allegations of overspending on promotional campaigns for Firefall. Notably, he devised a marketing strategy including a Firefall-themed esports bus intended as both a mobile promotional tool and a server for LAN competitions during the game's beta phase. During the beta? Fuck off. Bro, you don't want to go around having a gigantic billboard that lets people fucking play the game and it fucking doesn't work. Described Kern as being prone to extended absences and having an erratic, impulsive, and very disruptive leadership style. In 2013, Kern was removed from his position as CEO by the Red 5 board of directors. He referred to his time in the company as his own Kobayashi Maru. But like, okay, so it's a test that he could have never succeeded, but like it seems like you could have succeeded. Because you could have just not pissed everyone off. I don't know. Tyler discovering Mark Kern's history as the Failbus guy in real time is a great gif. He actually... Failbus sounds familiar. Dude, okay, hold on. This might just be me. This is 20-year-old ancient shit, isn't it? Failbus. Everyone aboard the Failbus. Ancient by Mad... Yeah, the entry into Urban Dictionary for Failbus is from 2007. The Firefall of disgraced dev Mark Kern. What? Oh my god, how much did the Firefall bus cost? $3 million? The Firefall bus cost $3 million fucking dollars. I remember this. Now SJWs are saying, okay, the bus made money, but the game flopped. Dude, I wasn't there for the launch and they changed the whole game. This is from 8 years ago. He was getting mouth fucked by the internet this hard in 2016. Holy shit, Mark. No wonder I never heard of you until now. It probably was too scary for you to come out. Medicare probably knows who you are and you're afraid of him. Oh, Jesus Christ. Dude. This shit would get you eaten alive 8 years ago. Holy fuck, that's funny. Kern mismanaged the game and didn't help provide much of a focus to it. However, the game launched over a year after he left and a ton of changes were cobbled together, throwing out stuff he was lauded for. Here's lack of levels and no extreme power curve. Why would you spend $2 million on a fucking bus? $2 million to customize it and shit. Hold on. During the development of Firefall, Mark Kern kept the hype insanely high. He was clearly convinced that this would be the next big thing in the MMO space and seemingly recklessly spent money to promote the as-of-yet unfinished title. Reports eventually surfaced of the studio funding an expensive video soundstage setup to make Firefall live-action videos as well as dumping cash in unrelated projects. He's a fucking hype beast. What, dude, if I was a fucking Gamergater, just literally anyone but this dude, just literally go back to Asmongold. Like, don't fucking listen to this dude at all because what a fucking L. Oh my god, it's the Failbus. I know I've heard that before because it was the one that would like catch on fire. People were talking about this back in the 2000s and I had completely forgot about it. I re-articulated. I was like, wouldn't it be dumb to bring a beta around on a bus because buses are fucking unreliable, but also like you're bringing your potentially flawed product to the masses.